And good morning on your hump day, February the 11th, 5:33 Eastern Standard Time, a little earlier, kind of adjustment to things, get a little earlier start, have a lot of things kind of cascading into each other, colliding into each other some mornings. Depends on the morning, but most mornings I think I'm going to start at 5:30, kind of get a jump, a little bit ahead of it, and it feels good. I'm glad to have that time, and it's good to be here. Happy Wednesday. Glad to be alive. And you're with the Cornbread Man, Dave in the AM for the Southern Patriots podcast, along with Wolf Nation, Cornbread Nation. One we haven't talked about much, Patriot Nation. That's another subsidiary, you might say. We kind of do things under different umbrellas. And the kickoff back to our radio station this week too, and that's Cornbread Nation. That comes under that banner, and it's Cornbread Nation Radio. And so we're happy about that and getting things back to square and new things along the way. Tomorrow was supposed to be a kind of a, well, she's new to the show. She has a new album coming out. Miss Suzanne, she's asked to move that. She has another commitment she just has to do. You understand that. Some things pop up, but we're going to move it back a week. It gives me a little bit more time to prepare. Her new album will be coming out around that same time. So I think we're recording it and then releasing it. I'm going to have to ask her about that because we were about a week ahead of her album release. She has an amazing voice. And I'm not going to tell her story at all, but she has a tie into a very famous blues player. And I've heard a little bit of that story, but I have not heard her total story or anything like that. Stumbled into this amazing person and the talent that she has. And her voice is wow. I mean, just amazing. That's all I can say. I hate to repeat that, but I was just blown away as I was listening to her. And I thought, there's no way she's going to come on. She's going to come on, because you get to a certain level, you're dealing with press agents and everything. And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. They get a lot of requests, but she's agreed to come on and be excited to come on. So she thanked me so much for the change, and we're glad to do that. So for us, we try to stay very flexible in our scheduling to make sure that in case for us or the person, we try to hold to those schedules really tightly. But hey, sometimes things happen, and we try our best, to leave it very flexible as we can for the person that's coming on the program. Talked to Dusty Poff. I don't know if he's in there this morning yet. Might be a little early for him. So I'm going to see if he'll just come on and co-host with us tonight on the Racing Hour. Dean, the Chaser Potts, Mr. PT Cruiser himself. That's an inside joke. Just basically, he had a bummer of a PT. and we like to have a little fun, so we throw that in there. And the Marine in the house, probably Biscuit Boy as well. So we should have a should have a lot going on this evening. That's a lot of fun. Sports as well. We'll do our Super Bowl wrap up, talk about Braves baseball and MLB and all that. Will be coming around the corner. And the big thing is Daytona 500. Daytona 500 coming along really quickly, and excited about that. I love the Daytona. If you didn't watch any other race, you just got to watch the Daytona 500. It's just one of those things. Well, let me see if I can get on the screen our morning scripture of the day. Let me share a screen here, and I love the pictures behind them. I do. There it is. A man's heart deviseth his ways, but the Lord directeth his steps. Proverbs 16:9. A man's heart deviseth his ways, but the Lord directeth his steps. Amen. If it wasn't for the Lord leading me and guiding me every day in my steps, if I listen, I'd be a mess. And when I try to take over, I do make it a mess. So there's your scripture for today. I like that. We'll just roll right into our National Day, and we've got a handful today, so we'll talk about that. It's National Latte Day. I'm not really into lattes, Are you into lattes? I'm not really into that uh, myself, but if you are, it's your day. You can celebrate it in an official capacity today and say, hey, it's National Latte Day. I'm really not into that. But I am glad. I didn't know they had this one, National Guitar Day. So if you are a picker, you like to play the guitar. I have a couple, and I'm not even considered in the picker class. I got to get back to practicing. But I have an acoustic and an electric, and always I love them. I love guitar. Wish I was better at it. But it's an amazing thing, the guitar. Maybe outside of that, you could think of maybe like a harmonica or something, which has its own ability of sure, but you can't do as much with that. But a guitar, you can throw it over your shoulder and you can go to anywhere and sit and pick. It's not. I remember when the Allman Brothers. I read Greg Allman's biography of him. He wrote for himself, and he was very open in that biography. He showed a lot of his warts and skeletons in the closet. He's very forthcoming. Can I say he released them all? Probably not, but he did a lot. But he played the organ, the old Hammond, and I think he weighed about 400 pounds or something like that. And they played places in New York where you had to go upstairs and stuff. So it was amazing sound, but can you imagine trying to get that thing around to gigs? Somebody with a guitar, an acoustic, they don't have to have an amp or nothing. They just show up with a guitar and they play. And you go into a city and there's people playing on the street corner, on bridges, that you walking bridges. They can walk into anywhere, and if they want to amplify it, they got a mic or something they can put up there in front of them. They can sing, put one on the guitar, you can even hear it better. And guitar is just one of those things you can walk out in the middle of woods and you can play. You don't have to have any electricity or anything like that. You just have to have your own talent, own imagination, and go and play the guitar. So today is National Guitar Day, and everybody has their favorites. Favorite kind of guitar, whether it's in the acoustic version or the electric. I'm a big fan of a couple. I like the Jacksons and I like the Gibsons. I'm nothing against Fenders or anything. I like them, but I really like the Jackson guitars, and I really like Gibson. Gibson is obviously legendary, which most of them are. I mean, nowadays, most of the ones that's been out there for a long time, but they do have different sounds from the Fender to the Gibson to Jackson. So yeah, National Guitar Day. Think of your guitar heroes, if you want to say that way. Maybe you don't think of them as a hero, but we do appreciate the music that they bring into our life, and we think about the time that they put into playing, the hours a day. Even for the very legendary ones, if they don't practice, it starts showing up. You have to continue to practice your craft. That's with anything. So it doesn't matter that you're legendary. I remember one time, I think he had taken a break. He still plays, but I think he's playing a lot more now. I remember Sammy Hagar and somebody else went to see Ted Nugent, and they were talking about how just he could still play. But they said obviously he hadn't practiced in a bit, so they could see that as guitar players. Like, okay, he was a little bit slow on this, or he kind of missed that. But he plays a lot, and he's 70 something years old. I mean, if he never played another note or practiced, I mean, his work is out there. National Inventors Day. I always wished I was an inventor. I have really put the thought into this over my life of thinking of inventions, and I think it's the neatest thing to be an inventor. And I remember years ago, this just goes back decades, not just years, decades. In my area, there was a guy who invented a piece on a tool that's pretty well known, very well known, matter of fact. And he didn't hold on to the invention. He basically sold the invention to craftsmen, if I remember right. It was a craftsman deal way back in the day. And he got paid quite a bit of money for it. Like, I think he got paid like $1 million, but he never got another dime. I mean, they bought it from him. He got his money. He got, he was known for having done it, but he sold it to craftsmen. And that was what he's known for. Good morning, Brother Darrell. And so, I think it'd be neat to be an inventor, And sometimes when I'm thinking of inventions, you're thinking of this really big idea, like you come up with something that changes how we go to space or something, or if you believe we even did that. But I was, a lot of times it's the very small thing. You come up with these little small gadgets that are every day, and they're probably not even very expensive, but in volume, they sell a lot of them because people get into the idea or it helps their life in some way, something they want for their car. And you think of the millions upon millions of cars out there, and you come up with a little invention, or it could be in the medical field, whatever it is. And that's why we say at, where I work at, you guys have the best ideas. But unfortunately, if you work for a company, you come up with an idea, it becomes theirs, that protected thing. So, you have to come up with something that maybe doesn't cross those lines. But in saying that, a lot of people have came up with inventions that work for companies that revolutionized, the particular industry. And I just think that's a neat thing. And I've known people who have that uh, adventurous and inventor kind of way about them, and they're always thinking in their head. And I mean, I've sat and thought about it. I really have at times. What could I invent? I just thought it'd be the neatest thing to invent something. And then I'll see somebody invent something, and I'm like, man, they made that look easy. I mean, it's nothing. Or here's another one: you invent something in your head. You might even made a prototype, but you never told anybody. And then 4 or 5 years down the road, you just kind of let it lay, and if somebody else comes up with it, and you're like, "Oh man, I had that." I've known people have done that too. So it is National Inventors Day. So I like that, and somebody's always coming up with something. It is National Peppermint Patty Day, and I'm not a fan. I've just never been a fan of the peppermint patty. Never have been. So I'm not against it, but I'm not for it. It's just not something that I enjoy. So that one, have at it. This is a good one. This is more of a heart one right here. Should be. It's just the national day we celebrated, but for shut-ins, National Shut-in Visitation Day. You know, I'm sure Daryl has seen the same thing, and I've had. My mom was in care. And we went a lot. But you always feel like you should have went more. To see your parent or somebody you love that's in a nursing home or something like that. With life and everything you're flying, you would go. But we went a lot. We went at different times of day too, just to make sure everything was good. We wanted to know we were coming at every time of day, to make sure. But in doing ministry, you there are those days, they have special days, holidays, where it seems like a lot of people turn out. The Christmases, the Thanksgiving, something like that. Or there's their birthday or something. But many times, you don't have anybody coming to see somebody, or it's very rare. And so, their hearts are really open. Somebody comes and they're, praying with them, singing songs as bad as I sing. They loved it. Um, preaching, sharing a word, listening to them, just encouraging them. They would always say the same thing. My mom would say this: "Thanks for coming." And I would say, "You don't have to thank me. It's my duty and my honor to do that." Hello, Miss Kim. God bless you. Snoopy Peppermint Patty. Well, I think it's the candy, but I was thinking about that when you said that. Uh, having my afternoon, Ernest is having my afternoon tea here in Pakistan. Pakistan. Enjoy your tea. Be safe, Pakistan. But Snoopy Peppermint Patty. I was thinking about that, and I was thinking while I was saying, it's funny you say that. While I was saying the peppermint patty, I was thinking about her, and do I really like her as a character on that show? And I was like, I'm not really sure. She's not my favorite, but she's not the worst one. She wasn't a Lucy. I mean, peppermint patty's okay, but I like doing the national days. I think Kim's done those as well, and they're kind of fun. So, but shut in day. But yeah, you go in and seeing somebody, and they just get tickled about it. They just love somebody to come see them, and honestly, a lot of the ministries that I did were in um, advanced, or it was assisted living, but it was memory care. And so after a certain amount of time, they don't remember you, and it's very sad, you know. But I was going to tell a quick story about that. The first one of the it wasn't the first time I'd been there. I mean, I'd been there, but I was kind of new. They had changed my location in the place. Like this is a 3-story assisted living home, very nice place, and Sandy Springs, down around Atlanta. And anyway, they had many different type of people that were there from nationalities. And, I was there doing ministry and I was really working. I was working with anybody, but I really targeted that place because I really wanted to put in front of me Jewish people that I wanted to reach the gospel. And we made an impact. The Lord did, not us. But anyway, there was a family member just happened to be there, and this lady was new. So she's like a new check-in. And she hears the singing and stuff, and she bounces down the hall, and her family's down in the room, and she just comes and sits in. Well, while I'm singing, I finished up singing, and I went to preaching. That day I was really preaching. Like, I was preaching about the blood. I mean, man, blood on the doorpost. I was laying her down. And somebody come and got the lady. And she come back. They come and got her again. And she come back. And this went on the whole time. Like, they would come get her. I'd see somebody talking to her. They'd walk her back down the hall. She would come back and she would sit down and listen. And this just went on the whole time, which is very, you're preaching. It's very distracting, but you're like, what's going on? Like, she, because they looked upset. She looked happy. They looked upset. Well, the next week, the lady that was over me doing activities there and all that, sweet lady, friends to this day, and she said, boy, her family hates you. That's what it was. They were Jewish, and they just didn't like my sermon. And they forbid her. Sadly, they forbid her from coming to the place. And they told the place, if you let her come to this man's meeting, we'll move her. We won't, you're going to lose a client. So she said, I'm so sorry, but we can't let her come. So I was breaking my heart, So I always went on Thursday. Well, one week I couldn't come on Thursday because I think they had a lockdown for illness or something. Something weird happened. I don't remember what. I think that's what it was. And they said, can you come on Saturday? I said, sure. So we went down on Saturday. The weekend staff was there. They didn't know the rules. She comes back. And I'm sitting here going, okay. I tell my wife, like, whispering, like, she slipped in. She's here. This is great. And I just felt like in my spirit, this was big. This was big. And we gave, we did the same thing. Long story short, we gave the invitation for prayer to receive the Lord. And she bowed her head and prayed. She died 4 days later. 4 days later. And I always knew that more. I knew that it was big. I knew that it was, I just felt like, I didn't tell my wife because I didn't want to upset her, but I just felt like, see this lady again. I think this is it. Go for it. Don't, this is the day. This meeting is for her. This meeting was set up for her. And you just know that stuff. But anyway, Ernest says, I miss those blueberry muffins on the Amtrak rides. There has to be a National International Blueberry Muffin Day, and there is, and I've covered that. There absolutely is. I don't remember the date, but there is one for that, Ernest. Absolutely, there is one. So anyway, let's move on because there's more, but go visit those that are shut in. National White Shirt Day. Well, I'm out because I didn't wear a white shirt. Is this like the wife beater thing? Like what? They're showing people in white T-shirts, but I'm thinking, is this, and I hate to say it that way, but that's what we call the wife beater T-shirt. I mean, it's what everybody says. Is this oh, he says like Pakistan. I was trying to get it right. I just stuffed up that the Pakistan. Oh, National White Shirt Day. I don't even like wearing white shirts because they're so easy to get dirty. I mean, at a factory, like I work, even doing what I do as a manager, you don't wear white. You just don't do that. You're taking a great risk. There's dust and everything, a little bit anyway. I mean, you're always going to have a little bit of that. Okay, here's one for you. It's National Don't Cry Over Spilt Milk Day, which has become a major saying over the years. And I guess this goes back to milking cows and the bucket getting kicked over. You know, I'm just assuming. I didn't look it up, but National Don't Cry Over Spilt Milk Day. But that's become a catchphrase for a lot of things, right? So I don't know, but don't you hear that expression a lot? Don't cry over, don't cry over spilt milk. But a lot of these have they go back in history. They have a they've come from something. I like the marine ones, not the the soldier marines, but like on the water and all the sayings on ships and stuff. There's a lot of them. There's quite a few that are really cool. But that's your national day today. That's pretty good list. I mean, that's pretty good list. I can be with all of them. I'm not really, like I said, I'm not really going to celebrate with a peppermint patty. Um, Big cartoon character, or I guess I could do the cartoon character and not I've ate them. I just don't like. I don't like that. I don't like that peppermint. I'm not a big peppermint fan. Maybe for like the one you put the peppermint in your mouth. Those are okay. I'm still not a big fan. But I'm not a latte fan. I'm not a latte fan. So that would be the one that loses out for me today. The rest of them, and maybe white shirt. I just don't. I don't think I could celebrate white shirt. I don't know that I even have a white shirt anymore. Even dress shirts, I do color. I just do different colors. I used to do it all the time. I don't even know if I have one anymore. If I needed to wear one, I'd have to buy one. I just don't do them because it doesn't fit in my world. So anyway, so we got the scripture, got the national day. Let's do the birthdays today. Let's see who's on a celebratory level. And that's not going to work. We got to go to the right day here. Let's see here. Boy, it's raining. It's not a good thing. I got to move my wife this morning to our sons this morning before I go to work. And it's raining. So that's not good. I hope it lets up. Hope it lets up a little bit because we're going to get soaked. Let's see here. Where is my... Let's go like this. And let's do it this way. There we go. Jennifer Aniston is 56 years old today. I didn't really, I don't really know that I've ever watched. I was not a big fan of. I didn't follow the show, The Big Show Friends, whenever she was on. I didn't really follow that, but I know of it. But I know of her. She's been on a lot of stuff. A Khalid R&B singer is 27. Thomas Edison, who some say stole Nikola Tesla's. Nikola Tesla, everything he ever did. I know there's a lot of controversy about that, but he is famous. Thomas Edison is famous. Died in 1931. It is his birthday today. Happy birthday. For whoever's idea it was, you are known for it. Lots of inventions. Talking about inventions. He was an inventor. There's no doubt about it. But maybe some were come up with a little. But when you're in a team, I don't know. They worked together, I guess, at one time. The legendary Burt Reynolds' birthday today left us in 2018. Lots of different Burt Reynolds kind of movies. Most people would probably say Smoking a Bandit, probably at the very top, if not the top movie that they like. But some would say, his very, very first movie, well known for, was filmed in Georgia here, famous for the banjo scene. Some might say that, Ernest, well, maybe there is a national nothing else day. Maybe. But Burt Reynolds, he was in a lot. Quint from Gunsmoke. Quint from Gunsmoke. But Burt Reynolds in a lot of different kinds of stuff. Now, I like many of his movies. I didn't like everything. I remember that when he was on Gunsmoke, and he was there for a bit. That was like his big break early on TV. And the guy who played the doc on there, I know his name, I can't think of it. He tells Burt, he said, "Hey man, you're really good, and we love having you on the show." But he said, honestly, you're a funny guy. You need to get out of here. You're never going to be able to be what you can be on this show. And you just need, you're going to have a huge future basically, but you got to get out of here. And he did that, decided to do that. And then the rest is, the rest is history, as they say. Oh, there's a couple of singers. I'm not really. Alex Jones is 51 today. InfoWars. Some people love him, some people hate him, but I'll say one thing: he's never dull. Alex Jones, 51 years old today. Sheryl Crow, 63. That's kind of hard to believe. 63. Damian Lewis, 54, actor. Josh Jacobs from the University of Alabama, 27. Anybody else here? It's quite a big list today. Leslie Nielsen, I always liked him. Funny guy. He did some serious roles, but he's mainly known for his comedy. Died in 2010. Way back in 26, he was born. 1926. So, it'd be a 100-year anniversary. Wow. Awesome. And let's see, is there anybody else? I think that's it. I think if it's your birthday today, God bless you. Happy birthday. And enjoy your day, no matter where you're at. It's your day. There's only 365 of them, plus a leap year. So enjoy your day. So, but my birthday, I'll be 61. I don't care to say. I'm not one of those that hides their age. Lord knows I can't. Look at me and tell my age or about get it. I'm not over the hill yet, but as they say, my dad would say this, I'm not over the hill yet, but I can see the top. I think he would used to say. My dad had all these little sayings. He was definitely caught up in those little catchphrases and stuff that you say. He had a bunch of them. And I catch myself saying many of them. Because he's my dad and I heard him my whole life. And I don't even try to do it. It's just that it's there. And probably the one that my dad said the most was "ah bull." That was his way to say, like, if he didn't agree with something you said, he'd say "ah bull." He didn't say the BS thing. I mean, that was his way, "ah bull." Ernest says Burt Reynolds was in a good Western movie called The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing from 1973. Man, I don't even know if I saw that, but I think I've heard of that. 1973. Yeah, I did not like him in some things. Now, I don't know. I mean, I didn't see that. I'm not saying it's good or bad because I haven't seen it. But I have not I've not seen it, I'd have to check that out. Thank you, Daryl. She's hanging in there, I really appreciate the prayers. If we could just get her strength up. We were taking her. I was taking her on Monday. I was taking her it was in the morning. I was taking her to the restroom. And we got a pretty good routine down. Something happened, though, and she kind of went down, and I was trying to stop her. And I am so sore. She didn't fall. She just kind of slowly went to the floor on her knees, and I had to, just get her back up. And I have been, my arms have been, my shoulders have been, they were hurting Monday. But yesterday, I was off work yesterday. I had to get a few things done. We were trying to get a few things done for her. At our son's, because it's where I take her when I work, and he's there. He works nights, and we have other family that is there, and they keep an eye on her. Some days my sister watches, and some days it's me. Depending in the evenings, all evening, and everything. I got her. But thank you for the prayers. Just keep praying for her. Just get her stronger. She's hanging on. We had a good time last night watching an old Walton show. She was laughing at Grandpa. She likes that show. So thanks for that. I really, really appreciate that. Our small town shout out today is Colby, Kansas. Colby, Kansas. I've never been to Colby. But it is our shout out town today is Colby, Kansas. And as of the 2020 census, they have 5,570 people. They're definitely a small town. It is the county seat of Thomas County in Kansas. In 1882, a post office was established near the center of Thomas County. Area homesteaders lived under harsh conditions in sod houses, creating demand for a town to provide lumber and other provisions to incoming settlers. J.R. Colby, a local land assessor and preacher. You got to have a different gig going on here. And a preacher obtained a patent to establish the town in April of 1884. And land was acquired for the town site 3 miles south of the post office in March of 85. It'd be 1885. And the following month, the Kansas Secretary of State issued the town charter. Kansas Governor John Martin named Colby the county seat in 1885, and the city was incorporated in 1886. The Union Pacific Railroad reached the city in 1887. Man, they were doing big to-dos every year. And the Rock Island Railroad followed the next year. So there you go. Colby, Kansas. I've never even been to Kansas, to be honest. I don't think I've ever even been in a town in Kansas. So I certainly know I've never been to Colby. Never been there. I've been out in some of those states, but I've never been to Colby. Colby lies on the south side of the Prairie Dog Creek, a tributary of the Republican River. How in the world they get that name? In the High Plains region of the Great Plains. A small tributary of the creek flows northeast through the town. Located at the interchange of Interstate 70 and K25 in the northwestern Kansas. Colby is 212 miles east-southeast of Denver, 232 miles northwest of Wichita, and 347 miles west of Kansas City. So that's a wide, long state, like Tennessee or North Carolina. So that gives you kind of an idea of where it's at. The city has a total area of 3.38 square miles. Not much, right? So anyway, there you go. Shout out to you if you are in Colby. Shout out to you. We salute you in Colby. If you could just do something when you're, like something big, you become the first, you get your name. Like Daryl Broom, if he did something, he could have a town named Broom. I could have a town named Cordell, and Ernest. It could be, Dempsey City, Miss Kim. I don't know Miss Kim's last name. So we just call her Miss Kim. That could be the name of the town, Miss Kim's, or just Kim. Kim, Georgia. That'd be a good one. Where do you live? I live in Kim, Georgia. Or we could use the name Kim's Coffee Talk. Shout out to her for coming in. I hope she has a great show today on Kim's Coffee Talk, which goes live in about 25 minutes on Rumble. And if you don't have Rumble, get one today. You need Rumble. It's just a great platform, and it's one that's going to be there no matter what happens. And we're brought to you by our coffees, and I want to shout out to those who have just ordered coffees. And one of the friends of mine did a sample pack, so he would kind of try different ones, being a blessing to the podcast, and also ordering some coffee. We got all that flipped over. Wolf Nation coffee, totally rebranded, same great coffee, same great price. There is the price that you pay, the shipping's included. So like I get all these offers all the time, and I try different coffees. I buy my own. I have a shipment on the way right now from Wolf Nation Coffee. But sometimes people will ask me to try their coffee and stuff, and I'll do it, or my wife will get something, and so we buy the coffee. We keep various brands in stock in our home and in the studio, and so sometimes I'll do that. But then I was looking at one the other night. It's in the racing world because we really are, kind of getting known in the racing world, on a small level. But there's a lot of people recognize who we are now because of our dirt track series, and we're excited about that. But there's a racing coffee company, and they sent me a link, and I'll be willing. I'll order a pack to support them and try it. But I was looking at their prices, and and I get it. It's the same price as ours, but then they got added shipping. That's just the facts. That's why we beat everybody if it's a mail order. That's what I was telling people. Is it higher than you can go down to the local store and get it? Yeah. But you got shipping. You don't have shipping down the store. They've got all that built into their volume. But so his was $20, which is a good price for that size or whatever. But then you got to add in the shipping. Well, our 12 ounces are anywhere from $18.50 to $19 or $20, according to blend. But that is shipping included. It's very much we made it very affordable. You get up into the higher volumes, we bumped it up a little bit. So like if you're going to order pounds, like you really like a blend, you say I'm going to order this for my restaurant or something. It's a little bit more, but you're getting a bigger volume. But we're still including the shipping and the cost. There's never a time with any of our coffee that you go, I got to pay this plus shipping. We didn't do it that way. We included it in there. So for we'll say $20. I think the one I ordered was $19.50. That's cash. That's cash and carry right there. There's no added thing to it. So that's what I paid. Mine should be here this week. I think around Thursday. I think mine's coming in. I love the house blend. I love them all, but I really like the house blend, the breakfast blend. I think I ordered the house blend. I keep it here in the studio. It's a good smooth coffee. Love coffee. Coffee is universal around the world. Most countries that is the number one. I mean, they could go to Russia, maybe vodka's more. I don't know. I think not. I think coffee is the lead outside of water. More people drink coffee than anything else. It's a huge industry. Coffee is, and we're proud of the ones that we have. So anyway, all right. What else do we want to talk about this morning? This day in history. This day in history. Then we'll look at news a little bit. Related to what's going on, and was bad for us in 1979, the Ayatollah Khomeini came to power in Iran, and the president is on go right now, and they basically are saying, if you don't come to a deal on these weapons and what you're doing to the people, the jets are in the sky. That's what retired General Blaine Powell said to the press, that the president's, that's what he's saying. Basically, that's planes in the air. So I don't know if we're going to do any kind of battle with them or not. At least strikes through missile, drone, jets as well. But it's heating up, and we have the strike group there. I think his plan is always to show strength and then go from there and just let the pressure build. So I don't know. We'll see. But this thing is getting a little bit. It has that feel like we're going to do something. It has, because we had enough, I think, in the region to do that, to call that bluff, but they sent more, and I think all those assets are in place, pretty much are in place. I think they were very end of last week. I think they were pretty much in place. So now the negotiation goes on, and is there going to be, is there going to be anything? Because we think back to the hostages and stuff. What a horrible time. There was a lot of things I didn't like that were I think bungled by the administration at that time. It was whether some people didn't like Ronald Reagan. I thought he was great. Did he do everything perfect? No, but he brought a spirit back of patriotism. We were really beat down at the end of the 70s through all the stuff. The 70s were a rough decade through many things. War, the Vietnam War and how that was winding down, the protests, the assassinations that were still occurring in the 70s, my gosh, the Jimmy Carter years, the energy costs were up, gas shortages, just horrible. And then rides in the California governor on his horse with his white hat. And he has the little quibs and jokes that he could do. And he faced down Russia, and he just brought back a spirit of patriotism. And the main thing is, as soon as he was sworn in, those hostages were on their way to release. They knew better. Jimmy Carter, I know he's deceased and all. I'm not going to trample on the grave, but it is fair to judge history. And I'm sorry, Mr. Rest in peace. I think he did some good things. He did a lot of things I didn't like too. I guess that's fair for most men. But he took credit for that. And he tried to act like that was his negotiations that caused all that. I'm sorry, bro. If that's what you want to believe to carry with you the rest of your life, that's fine. But I think most of us know what was going on there. Ronald Reagan sent word and said, if those hostages are not released, as soon as I'm sworn in, we're leveling Tehran. I have no doubt that he told them that, because they didn't mess with him. They went back in the little hole that they were in, and they didn't rise up too much during those years. And certainly he told Gaddafi the same thing in Libya, and he wanted to test him, and when he flew the jets over the city at low altitude, and also killed one of his kids, putting a missile right into their palace or presidential areas or whatever. Then he went in a hole for about 25 years, and literally came out of a hole and went back. Now he's in the hole because they killed him over there. But Ronald Reagan said, that's it. I'm telling you. So by the time he was being sworn in, they were releasing the hostages. It was at 444 days or something like that. Come on, Mr. Carter, President Carter. You had in the failed rescue mission. Oh my gosh, the whole thing was bungled. And it's just that same feeling of weakness. We came out of an administration where we're feeling very weak as a nation, and then back into a position of strength. And Reagan, for his part, he said to the Russians, Yeltsin said, we got Star Wars. We'll bomb, we'll knock any missile you got out of the sky. Sit back down to the negotiation table, or else. We didn't have it. It'll never be known. Some say it was one of the greatest bluffs ever pulled by a president. Others say it was early signs of the dementia. For whatever reason, he backed the Russians off. So of all the second term had its difficulties. It certainly did. Of course, the assassination attempt on him. But the Iran-Contra affair, there were things that didn't go well in the second term. It was people had, second terms are filled with people leaving the administration. And by the way, this is President Trump's second term. Some say third. Officially, second because, he can't serve three, but saying it was elected and should have been or was. But anyway, in the second term, after the midterms, I suspect you'll see maybe in a little bit different way because Trump's administration is just different than everybody's. But I think you'll see a few defections. You've already seen a couple from the president. After the midterms are over, you'll see more. There'll be some people that will leave in the second term. They'll have their 2 years. They can claim that, write their book, go on the speaking circuit. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kash Patel gone after the midterms. I just believe that he is not going to be there for the 4-year term. I just don't believe it that he'll stay there. I could be wrong, and we'll see. But I think there's a good possibility that you'll see him leave. Certainly by the 4th year, you'll see a lot of them gone. And it's not just there's different reasons for that. One of the difficult things is the time factor. It's a draining job, no matter your job, especially the closer you are to the president, the staff, and people that are around him every day and the travel. And it is a very demanding job. And look how 4 years the pressure of being a president ages presidents. I mean, it does. It does every one of them. And, President Trump, his age, he has an amazing vitality, but he's going to show that by the end of the term, there's no doubt, because he's aging anyway. And just there's a lot going on. There's a lot you have to consider every day, but the staff is just constant. It's a 24/7 job. You're not getting enough sleep, and it's very demanding. And so you will see that eventually. You want to have a life, and really, while you're doing a job like that, your life is with your kids and your spouse. It's taxed very much so. And I'm no expert, but you can look at them and they'll tell you. Living in the Beltway is expensive. It's not fun. That's a horrible place, really. But and you just you're not if you want to get back to a more normal life, some of them are lawyers. They'll go join a practice somewhere. Some of them will get into other things. Some of them may even run for office. They've made a name for themselves. Like I say, they'll write their book, my experiences or something, or they'll join the TV as a paid expert, to talk about. There'll be a lot of them that get that gig. So this I expect, and so the midterms is a really big deal for a lot of reasons. The seats that are up and seeing how that falls out for the administration, and then the changes that will occur, and there will be changes that will occur. Carolyn Levitt, the spokesperson for the president, said pardoning Maxwell not a priority for Trump. Some people are calling for that. Why? She's guilty as sin, and why should he pardon her? Anybody that's connected with Epstein should be no pardon. Representative Fine said the Super Bowl halftime show pushed drugs and profanity and other things as well. That's from Newsmax. Let's see here. Back to Iran, Trump is weighing a second carry if Iran talks collapse. You see what I mean? The buildup. It's just like that's a lot. That's a lot of strike force to put into a region, the second carrier. And usually when you do that, again, I think this is a pressure, a power play to say, Iran, we're not going to play here. We'll send the second carrier. But if that happens, you're going to see things amplify. So the window is very small, and I don't think they'll listen. They're radical. They don't care. They don't care about their people. They're not going to do that. So I suspect something will happen. The bridge was shut down. The president shut down the bridge, one of the bridges between Canada and the United States. The Canadian Prime Minister says the bridge issue with the U.S. will be settled. Well, it's going to be because they're losing big time on that deal. Vice President J.D. Vance, a quote, reasonable to seek benefit in Greenland. So that kind of pops back up in the news. Texas sheriff shut down won't stop ICE because a lot of people are there. That was not funded. Help the Homeland Security. They'll find ways to fund that, though, even if they don't do that. ICE, the work of ICE will continue to go forward. Let's see here. What are your thoughts about them cutting off the financial, all funding to sanctuary cities that, do that? That's going to be, that's going to start hurting those cities in a big way because a lot of them are broke already. I mean, they've overspent, they've overpromised, they've, gave everybody their money on pet projects, and everybody gets something. They went into debt, and if they get cut off the federal funding, could cripple. They could be, bankruptcy would be there for those cities. Just interested to see what will happen with that as we move forward. Senators reaffirming the 39% cap at hearing on FCC broadcast rule. So the 39% audience reach limit was set by Congress to not be unilaterally, if I can speak, rewritten by the FCC. This happened in a Senate Commerce Committee hearing on Tuesday for the FCC national television ownership cap. The hearing, governed by Chair Ted Cruz, Republican Texas, or convened, by Chair Ted Cruz, Republican Texas, with ranking member Maria Cantwell, Democrat Washington, examined whether the decades-old ownership restriction remains appropriate in a media landscape transformed by streaming services, social media, and digital advertising giants. At the center of the debate is a rule prohibiting any single broadcast television company from reaching more than 39% of U.S. households. I didn't know that was the number on the percentage. I knew there was a percentage. I didn't know it was 39%. Nexstar, already the nation's largest local television station owner, is seeking to own stations reaching 80% of the U.S., significantly exceeding the 39% threshold if its deal is approved. Cruz opened the hearing by acknowledging that media ownership rules were crafted in a different technological era, but cautioned against dismissing their continuing relevance. Quote, if there's one thing that's clear, it's this. Current media ownership rules were written in a vastly different technological age, Cruz said. Yet, even in this fragmented landscape, the media's ability to shape national discourse remains powerful, making questions about market concentration as important as ever. Cruz and Cantwell appear aligned in their understanding that the 39% cap is statutory. Several senators underscored that Congress codified the limit, meaning any fundamental change would require legislative action rather than administrative reinterpretation. So this may kill that deal. So if the Nexstar Tegna deal goes through, a single company will control 265 stations capable of reaching 80% of the households, more than double the current cap, Cantwell said. For nearly half of their audience, 100 million people, and that's a huge market share. Nexstar would own one or two more stations in a media market. Now that concerns me. Cantwell questioned whether further consolidation would narrow viewpoint diversity and reduce competition in local advertising and retransmission negotiations. She echoed Cruz's view that statutory cap is not easily altered by regulatory fiat, reinforcing the bipartisan sentiment that Congress retains primary authority over the limit. I think that would kill that deal. I don't know, how could you do 80%? So I would think that they will go against that. I think that's a pretty good indicator. I mean, we're not talking about 41%. We're talking, 80%, 100 million viewers. And however that's crafted, there would be people really upset depending on how that shook out. So I definitely can see that issue with that. So a little bit from your news. Again, tonight, don't forget, we're going to be talking about the Daytona 500 Speed Weeks and all, and looking forward to that with Dean Chaser Potts and the Marine and probably Biscuit Boy be in the house. And we'll see if we can get Dusty Poff on from Poff Racing up in Ohio. And we'll talk racing. We're going to catch up a little bit. I don't think there's any guests tonight on this one. We've got 3 or 4 guests coming up on the racing hour, but not. I did notice that our guest, boy, I'm gonna tell you, Miss Jessica Power, that Power Racing team, she's powered. Let me tell you, she's been winning. She's been kicking butt. Give us a follow on our Facebook SFP Racing Hour. We have our own Facebook page. Follow that, and we forward a lot of her stuff out, and all of them we can. She is killing it, and there's a couple others are as well, different classes and stuff. But she is busting it. I mean, wow. So let's see here. Back to the Epstein records. Speaker Johnson will examine Epstein records. So they've been naming other senators' names or powerful people. I don't know if they're senators, but powerful people that were in the redaction. But he says he's going to examine them, personally review the unredacted rec files now being made available, signaling growing momentum in Congress to scrutinize long-sought records tied to the late financier and convicted sex offender. Speaking to MS Now, Johnson said House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, Republican Kentucky, and other members are already examining the documents which have been placed in a secure facility for congressional review. For me, it's time. I've got Chairman Comer and many of our colleagues that are going down to comb through that. That's 3 million records. Hopefully they've got a staff that's kind of filtering stuff to the top. You're going to be there for a while. I'm sure they're all putting that in digital so they can just do searches and stuff. He says, I have a lot of faith in him and the ability of his team. So we'll see. Do they do anything? Do they? Some people want some arrest. We need to have something happen. Good morning from the UK. Appreciate you dropping in, Alex. And we appreciate you stopping in and saying, hey. King Charles will cooperate in probe of brothers' Epstein ties. Brothers should be in jail. Let's just say that. Cooperation should be cuffs on the man and go to jail. He's as guilty as anybody. I mean, I think they've got enough, but that'll never happen. Speaking from the UK and the royals, you think about the king. He waited all this time to be king. All this time, he waited for mom to move on from the scene. Waited his time, patiently. Some say impatiently, but anyway, he was going to be king. And he becomes king. And as he becomes king, right before and during and after, his brother becomes the scandal of the world. They are so, he hates his guts. Just say that, it's very evident. He hates his brother's guts. And it won't go away. The story won't go away for him. I'm not saying it should go away. I'm just saying for him, the boy who would become king, he can't get his brother out of the way. Like, they stripped him of his duties. They wouldn't let him wear the uniform anymore. They took some things some things away from him. They put him on the back 40 of the property. They say he's still living big, but he doesn't get to do some things he used to get to do. They put him in the penalty box, and the story just keeps getting worse for the king. He has to hate this. Every day he gets up and he reads the morning news with his whatever he drinks in the morning, and he has got this in his face. I mean, even if he likes it or don't, whatever, you got to think about it. And yeah, I think you're right. I don't discount that at all. And I just, it's an ugly mess, and it needs. I'm for full disclosure. I've always said that, and I've said no matter who's involved, no matter what party they are, no matter wherever they come from, whoever they are, if there is found to be criminal actions that have been taken against these young women and underage girls and all that stuff, whatever they find, prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. I have said that. I don't care who it is, because I'm always going to defend children. I'm always going to defend women and those whoever they're being abused. Could be young boys or whatever. We don't know the extent of how deep this went. There's a lot of people putting a lot of things out there, but just it's ugly, and we know it's ugly. And there's a lot of people that it involves, and I don't care who it takes down. They don't deserve to be on that platform they have if they're guilty, and you can find the proof. A lot of people are making accusations, But you got to have the proof, and if the proof is there, then I say prosecute to the fullest extent. There should already be some arrests. There should have already been arrests, I think, and it has not happened. But let's see that happen. So that's going to continue to be in the news. This is going to dog. By the way, talking about the president and his, as we get into the midterms and then on throughout his presidency, this story is going to continue to have legs throughout the whole of this administration and probably into the next. This is not going away anytime soon. As much as any or all of them would like the story to go away, it's going to continue to dominate the scene, just like some other stories. As long as we're getting illegals out of the country, or whatever, that's going to be a big in the news. But the Epstein files and all that goes with that's going to continue to be in the news, and it's just going to be one of those things. Now, the president, he flies above. I mean, a lot of people say, well, he's guilty. He's had these associations. Well, the Democrats had the power. They had the ability to look into all this. They couldn't find enough or anything on him much at all, except outside of a picture or two of him standing with people. I mean, they don't have anything, or they would have already used it. So those people thinking it's going to massively explode. And some people say, well, they got rid of it before they, downloaded. I can't say who did or who didn't do what, but I'm saying this, that if they Democrats had that at all, they would have already had the execution of a man. I'm telling you, they were wanting that, and they didn't get it. So, but there are some other people. There's going to be more executives. They're biding their time to see if it comes down. But there are names out there that's going to come out of this, and there's going to be people that are going to lose their job for sure, step down, and in some cases maybe. And right now, there's a lot of maybes. But right now, where's all the arrests? Where's the indictments? We don't see it, right? All right, that's your show this morning. I do need to get out early, and I got to get out in the rain and move my wife, and we appreciate you. Thanks for everybody stopping in. Have a wonderful day. We'll be back tonight with the Racing Hour, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Racing Hour and sports, and I'll probably do a music show as well. We're going to talk about our albums out of the vault, and we're going to talk about a new group, and I'm not going to tell until we start that night, but you'll like the group. If you're classic, you're going to like the group. Take care. Again, have a blessed day. Like, forward, share, all those good things. I am the Cornbread Man for the Southern Patriot Podcast, and we appreciate you. Thanks to my co-host, the Cat Lady, Dean Chaser Potts, Biscuit Boy, and all others that come on the show. We'll see you soon. Take care.